it was, it was kind of. You look like Bob. Hey,
Which Bob?
you not him. He's cool.
Oh, he's cool. Oh, yeah. You sure, Mr. President. Sucking up already, Mr.
What you should take position in the next administration.
Whoa. We getting paid?
Are we ready?
So,
All right. All right, December 14th, 2022, Hamburg IDA regular meeting. We'll start with roll call. Cam Hall.
Here.
Bob Hutchison.
Here.
Janet is absent for now. Tom Moses.
Here.
Andy Palmer.
Here.
Jamal Perkins.
Here.
Davis Pekulski.
Here.
Bob Reynolds.
Ho.
Wentz Valentin.
Here. There's always one.
And guests, we have Anna and Mary and Masucci. Mary, and we have Jennifer on Zoom, everybody, just so you know. Jennifer, first, I hope Jennifer's still recovering, had some surgery. I hope you're doing okay.
I'm hanging in there. Surgery went well, but the recovery is painful.
We're thinking about you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, well, next we'll do our Pledge of Allegiance. Please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Motion to open the December 14th meeting at 7:35 a.m. Thank you. Second, thank you. All right, first item on the agenda are the meeting minutes from November 9th, 2022.
Motion to approve those.
Thank you, Cam.
Second.
Thank you, Jamel. Welcome, Janet. Any questions on the minutes from November 9th? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, next on to the financial report. Just to note, there was a packet that went out, one of the financial reports, I think it was the balance sheet, was from September. So just, I don't know if you have an updated one.
These packets look good.
They're up to date. Okay, good. So then you can go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, because I got that, I ran all the reports for our accounts up here. If anybody really wants to see what's going on in the accounts, I got all the reports up. The accounts right up to date from yesterday. But everything's been balancing out right now. But just to go over our November numbers and stuff like that, a normal payroll came in. We had really no outstanding expenses. We spent about $483.19. We did a sponsorship for $725. So the total expenses was $12,694.17 for the month. that ended there. We ended with a net income of a minus $12,029.58. So total liabilities, after you add up the savings accounts and stuff like that on the other side, on the next page is $1,069,985.22. Need a motion to approve.
So, second.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next for my update, just a quick update. We're looking to still close the Johnson Brew House project before the end of the year, so that's good. Carrying KH and Staub still. Jeffrey Boulevard, I met with that landowner, potential to develop a truck terminal. So essentially just gave them the scope and the process to apply to the IDA should they need incentives. And you know, that developer right now is just working on scope of work, construction costs, development, general development items. Advocacy and legislation, we're working with the SBA for some disaster assistance for storm damage. So I actually spoke with Mayor Tallman yesterday regarding some of the buildings in the village. I know there's buildings in the surrounding communities beyond Hamburg, which, you know, hopefully, unfortunately, the more impacted, the more leverage there would be to provide some grant assistance. Right now, the best I understand is some loan assistance. So right now, our advice to people that have suffered damage is to essentially, you know, collate, reestablishment, redevelopment, equipment costs to reestablish their business. You know, seek through their insurance provider, you know, what type of support they can get there, and then, you know, potentially look to the SBA to fill any gaps in that process. So if you know of anyone that sustained damage, substantial damage, you know, you can refer them to me or any of the local municipal representatives, because I've been in touch, you know, trying to provide some form of assistance.
Sean Crotty sent out an email to the supervisor and the mayors
Okay,
to try and get a number, and it includes houses as well as businesses.
okay,
So, you know, if your neighbor lost their garage or part of their roof, I mean, get a hold of Sean Crotty, get a hold of your neighbor to get a hold of Sean Crotty. He has, he's submitting everything on behalf of the town
okay,
and the villages on that damage.
okay. No, that roll-up number might be helpful. I think is that provides, you know,
The more,
reach a threshold or something like that. I
the
don't know
more
specifically.
assistance will come.
Okay, thank you. The Southtown's Chamber, we had a nice holiday event last night, but beyond that, our governance committee, which was essentially an ad hoc committee to review the procedures and policies and the financial organization of the Chamber of Commerce. We've had a lot of success. We've updated the bylaws. We've changed treasurers to appoint a more financially minded person in charge of the chamber finances with, you know, just a better skill set background in banking specifically. And then also we have our director search, executive director search in progress for the chamber as well. We have an interim director who is also a candidate for that position. But we've, you know, opened it up to, you know, a typical application process. We have interviews this Friday, so we should be in good fashion to really have a sound organization, more sound organization into January of next year. Our next meeting is January 18th, 2023. And I think that we did have a good meeting with the town board, highlighting the success of the CARES grants. We sent out a press release. Unfortunately, one of those grantees was affected by the damage and can no longer take advantage of the grant just because they're not in operation. So we've met with another applicant to potentially deploy that money. So we do have some funds of it. We had all the funds allocated, but then due to the storm damage, we have one more, essentially one more applicant available. Any questions?
Hey, Sean,
Yes, Andy.
any word on the SBA hub zones?
No, I'm still working with the SBA on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, next item on the agenda under new business is reappointment of transaction counsel for 2023. We received an engagement letter from Jennifer at Neal and Strong. And I would like to present a motion to appoint Neal and Strong attorneys and counselors as special counsel and transaction counsel to the Hamburg Industrial Development Agency for the year 2023.
I'll second that motion, or first, second that motion.
Thank you.
Just make the motion.
If you're
whichever
making-
way you wanna-
Making the motion.
Yeah, make. the
Thank you,
I'll
Bob.
second it.
Thank you,
Another
Janet.
Question,
Yes, sir.
it's Chairman Palmer on the heading. I just
Yeah.
want Hutchison to get all
Oh.
the credit he deserves.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And on the question, I would like to say on the record that I think Jennifer's done an outstanding job for this organization and stuff like that. So especially from the financial point of view, if I've got questions.
Good.
Thank you.
Which is important.
Yeah, she's in tune with the IDA policies and also as they change and thank you, Jennifer. Case in point right now for always being available.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, I do have an extension request for Johnson Brew House. They needed an extension from November until June 14th. Although they're looking to close, but this extension would also impact the sales tax. So this would be their first extension. This has been the first year it was actually on the resolution November 17th, 2021, not 2022. When the project was approved, and we're looking to extend it until June 2023. In conversations with the developer, they're hoping to last conversation was soft opening in February. I think that's ambitious, but I do think with the June extension, they'll fall in line.
Completely soft opening in February of what year?
23.
24.
No, 23.
23.
23.
Like,
We'll see.
That's ambitious. Yeah.
Do you know the building's not built yet, right?
It's
It's got some brick on it, yeah, but it's not built.
Let's get, you know what?
Within there, June is probably realistic for
Yeah.
an opening.
Yeah,
Yeah, for the first I'm completely happy with the progress. I think, the closing has dragged on and then Jennifer would second that.
Yes.
I think they've had financing challenges, I think, it's an expensive project. It's a big investment in the area. So, with the larger projects comes more work and more struggle to post, which we're in tune with. So I'll go through the resolution and we can open up to questions. Resolution of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency extending the inducement period and sales tax period for RPJ Holdings LLC, the lessee and Johnson's Tap House Inc., the sublessee project until June 14th, 2023. Whereas the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency by resolution adopted on November 17th, 2021, approved assistance for the project, and whereas there has been a delay in closing the project due to difficulty in meeting closing requirements, and now therefore be it resolved by the agency as follows. The agency does hereby extend the inducement period and the sales tax period for the lessee from November 17th, 2022, 6 months through June 14th, 2023, and waives the extension fee. This resolution shall take effect immediately. So moved.
So moved.
second.
Thank you, Jamel.
On the question.
On the question.
Yeah, so I mean, I fully appreciate that these delays can happen all the time, but haven't we not sort of set a precedent that we extend for 6 months? This would be 7.
Oh, is that 7 months?
I wasn't sure if they were moving to June because it was a
We have no,
relevant date, or
No.
I'd rather keep our practice
I
to
agree.
6 months.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. I did it 6 months from today's meeting.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
But it did expire last month, so if you wanted it to expire 6 months from the original inducement, then you'd have to move that expiry date back to May. And at this point, their only delay in getting it closed is obtaining the required insurance for both entities.
Is there a reason why this wasn't on our agenda last month?
I-
Um,
think you were gonna close, weren't they? I mean.
They were on track.
We were pretty confident.
We were getting close.
Right.
we were hoping to close pending receipt of the insurance, and they thought they'd pull it off before the November expiration date. And they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the hill I want to die on. I mean, if we want to say 6 months from today, that's fine, but I think our general.
Says we go 6 months today. So now to, because we
Make a motion to adapt the resolution.
can we,
So-
okay. Is
Make a
that-
motion to amend.
Yes.
Okay, motion to amend from June 14th, 2023 to May 14th, 2023,
Or
Yes,
May 17th, I guess.
May
right?
17th.
May 17th.
that's my motion.
I will second the new motion.
Thank you,
On
Bob.
the
Thank you, Jamel. Question?
It's a motion, not an emotion.
All in
I make
favor?
a motion, I make a motion to it. Hey, I know this thing. I make a motion to adapt. I make a motion to adapt the amended resolution as stated.
You make it another motion?
You have to make a motion to adopt, you have to make a motion to adopt the amended resolution,
Right.
right?
Yes,
Robert's rules.
Jennifer agreed.
Yes, I agree.
Second, Jamel,
Second.
all in favor?
I second the motion.
Opposed? Carried. Okay,
Now you need a motion to adopt the amended motion.
I just did that.
Isn't that what we just did?
that's what.
Now we can do a recall if you wanna do that. I know how to do that too, don't I, once?
My brain
It's
hurts.
early.
Okay, let me make a note here.
We're still in a new business, right? I got some.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, please.
I just gave I don't know if we have to set this up, but don't we elect our officers at first in January to 23rd? We do a yearly election.
No, it's typically February or March because the reorg for the town is in January.
Okay. So we don't, the offices are in until February or March. Do we have, so that's, okay, I just making
It's
sure.
not it's not, we don't have a policy. I'd have to look in the bylaws if there's a set date. I think it refers to annual.
Annually.
Yeah,
I thought
annually.
it was in the beginning of the year, and we always corresponded it with. the
Right,
town.
okay, so we wait till after their reorg. And then we do our reorg.
Yeah.
I think that was because they had large numbers, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You can change those members.
Okay, I would just want to make sure that, if it had to be on the agenda next month.
Nope, not yet, but it's coming up.
Okay, can I make a motion to have Bob be treasurer for life?
No. don't
I
think-
can't second it.
I'm lucky I might not even be here for.
Okay. Next on unfinished business, the pitch Hamburg request. There was some supporting documentation supplied to the executive committee and the executive committee reviewed it. Does anyone on the committee want to talk to some of the information, or do people have questions on the information provided?
I'm not on a committee, but I do have questions. This is appropriate time.
I don't, the committee, if you're okay, then we'll open it up
Right, I
to
mean,
people.
we did have some, again, it was more of a Jennifer question. Because we talked about education. And Jennifer, if we were to provide some financial assistance for education, just
Mhm.
launch education, would that be within our in our scope?
As long as that education follows your goals, yes.
I mean, so if I was starting a business that was I'll go back to the retail business. And Cam's over there starting an industrial business, we're both in the same class. Getting mentored, is that gonna be an issue?
I wouldn't think the state would ever be that picky in any audit.
Okay,
And they're certainly not going to interview students and see what they ended up doing.
so I don't know, is the mentoring done one-on-one? All right, one business,
Mentoring is tailored and individualized, And then the education is based on the whole cohort.
So if we just throw money out there for, let's say, education, it doesn't make a difference who's being educated, even if it's a one-on-one situation.
I think you're fine with that because you're providing general education to your business community.
Okay. That was a big question that the board, the executive committee did have.
Yeah, I, thank you, Bob. I mean, first of all, the material that was put together in short order was very impressive. So first of all, hats off to you for doing that so fast. I think we should do everything we can to support this organization. I think this is completely within the mission of our existence here. Is the request now that, like, would you actually be earmarking this fund, whatever funds we provide for education, or would it go just to the general operation of the?
We would focus, now that we have our cohort together, we would focus on primarily them putting the education towards
That
them.
is your operation right
Yeah.
now. It's basically, okay.
Yep, and our event coming up in the spring as well.
So. Okay, now the financial guy's in for that. So we're, I got the spreadsheet going out, so I have nothing for 23 coming forward. So where would you put this money on that spreadsheet? You got rents, utilities, telecommunications, equipment. Would it be under business supported programs? Because right now there's no funding under the business supported programs. I mean, just so we know where we're headed and going forward with the financial donation that the IDA is looking at.
Sean, if you wanna confirm that, I think it.
Yeah, no, we would allocate it under that, and certainly that would provide for, any type of outlay in cash monies to provide consulting, if we have to engage these people. As a not-for-profit agency, we're first gonna seek, in-kind services. But, Anna spends, a majority of her time, a good bulk of her time on educating these businesses. So, for instance, right now, it's almost, when I was there last Friday, it's almost like a case manager. You're meeting with these people, you're finding out like what their ideas are, how they've gotten so far, what their financial targets are, what they expect to make out of this, and what their hurdles are. So, essentially it's, at the stage that we're at now, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost where each of these 5 businesses is almost like an in-service, and what's great about our organization at the level that we're at and being small, it's very intense, so we're dealing with 5 businesses. We can really meet and specifically support these businesses versus providing some type of general information that may or may not benefit them. So like maybe they're beyond the legal formation. So then we'll support them with the other services that are more in line with what their specific needs are versus general services and a general curriculum for, say 20 participants.
And the reason I asked that is, a good percentage of the funding goes into salaries and benefits and stuff like this, but if you put it down as specific program expenses and we pay for something, you're paying for something, we at least can come back and say, okay, what did you do in this category going forward? I'm assuming you're using QuickBooks or something, so we could see how the money was spent going forward. Because my opinion is and again, this is just this board's opinion, that the foundation is raising money for expenses of salaries and benefits. Right now, we're trying to get into the programming aspect, which is the education part of it. So just so we have, if we need something in December 24 or 23, that we can go back and say, how did you spend the money that was allocated for that program?
Bob?
Yes.
I would recommend that the IDA and Pitch Hamburg sign a really short contract that just outlines, if the board agrees to this, here's this amount of money, this is how you're going to use it, and you're going to submit to us annual reports on this date every year.
Very good suggestion.
Just so everybody knows exactly what's expected of them.
Right.
Because members change and things happen and people forget. But if we do a little contract, which I could have ready for the January meeting, certainly Pitch Hamburg would review it and make sure they can agree to the terms.
Right. I like that, Jennifer. That's a good idea.
Do we need that letter to exist in order to approve a funding request, or can we do it now pending?
Well, I think we could, with the understanding, the funding request and a resolution going forward, that this is where the money is allocated and we would draw up a.
Right, you could approve the funding subject to signing a contract.
Right, so, and part of it is, my thought is too, okay, if they don't spend all the money in there, can they roll it over to the next year and stuff like this? Because this is a specific funding thing that we're doing as a resolution, you know what I'm saying? That say you give them 10,000, they only spend 8, well, do you roll 2,000 over to the next year and stuff like that into the fund? Because that's how they have to take a look at things.
Right, and the board would have to decide that, so that could go into the contract as well.
Right. Thanks, Jen. Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome.
As long as the money's unspent in that account and it's going towards that.
Yeah.
That,
Has
I
to
have
stay
no
within that
idea.
account.
I have no issue with it, with them keeping it, retaining the funds and.
It just can't be reallocated in their.
It's something
budget.
next year's budget.
It's gotta
Right.
stay
Yeah.
in that specific line item.
Exactly.
Well, if I could add my 2 cents, I appreciate the work. That was a lot of good data, so thank you. I agree with Cam, short time. The only thing I wanted to take a look at, just, and Bob hit on it, just when we when we come up with this agreement between IDA and Pitch, in a way, it'd be very helpful for me as a board member to best represent the village of Blaisdell, to have quantitative results. Like, I'm talking businesses still in Hamburg, whether or not Hamburg Now, or jobs created, or hours of mentorship provided. And I know it's a lot of work, but I mean, I think this is a good bit of money we're talking about. So just a way to track those results. So I can, when somebody asks me, well, why'd you guys give that money to them? I can go, well, this is why. This is producing real results on the ground level. The other thing I'd only ask, and this is just an ask, is no silos. Meaning, I have had some experience in federal government. Most frustrating thing within the same organization is you would have silos of work getting done, and some of those silos are doing the same work, but they're not talking to each other. So that'd be one thing going forward here, is that understand as a collaborative effort and communication stay open. I think it's awesome.
Do you bring in people to discuss certain aspects or educational aspects? I mean, I know you're getting into it, like dealing with the state, the tax impact and what you have to file, and personnel over a certain number of people, everything changes. I don't know the particulars, but over a number of employees, everything changes with what you have to provide. Are those things that you bring somebody in and
Absolutely.
discuss?
Yeah, I think it's really important when you're doing education like that, bring in the experts to help explain all of that information. So yes, between the board and myself and different people who have reached out to me, really building that network of experts, bring them in to educate.
Do a lot of those come in kind, or do you pay some of the speakers, or both?
It's a mix of both.
I'll add a couple of comments that I shared with Bob Hutchison and Jennifer. I did do a deeper dive and I found it under sponsorships. The ECIDA sponsored 243 North events. So to what extent, I don't know specifically, but they talked to it in their annual report. In 2018, they provided a $250,000 grant to a startup incubator. I think it's on East Utica Street. It's called the Beverly Gray Business Exchange Center. My other recommendations, I think we're in line with this. As you've been talking to this, the Authority Budget Office has really, I haven't found any comments specifically on grants or sponsorships.
Yeah.
But their kind of audit comments are, money's granted above $5,000. So I would think that being above that threshold, you're in line with these obligations that you've put forth the pitch, and I think it's a very realistic, we expect, serving as a board member, I expect to understand these metrics and we expect to communicate them to other funding sources as well. So it's not like, I expect that we're doing something that would be out of line with our typical activities, to be accountable to our funders. The other comments were, any, in my mind, anything above 100,000, because, we do public hearings, so, even if it would be a grant or sponsorship above that amount, on a one-time outlay, there should be a public hearing, but, I kind of more broadly deem this to be a project. And the general municipal law says that no project shall be approved unless the agency shall find, after the public hearing, but this is more internal, will serve the public purposes by preserving permanent private sector jobs or increasing the overall number of permanent private sector jobs in the state. So I think that's, where we need to fall in line, and I think this does fall in line with that. And and I've said it before, I think this is, certainly an initiative that, is starting to be more relevant and prevalent among IDAs. Buffalo is kind of become the focal point on the startup culture, and it's proved to be, as Anna had submitted through one of our board members on 43 North, that, this is an investment, that this money is not just to provide some training, that we're expecting that there will be investment in Hamburg in the form of jobs and commercial real estate. So, I do not see this as much of a donation where you're walking away from the money, but, there's an expectation of a return on investment here. And last, we've had a lot of great success, through projects in the last few years. And I think with that success and our commitment to the community is we're charged with reinvesting these monies, these public monies, for the public good. So, that's really what I wanted to restate.
Go ahead.
Just so we get an understanding here, and I'm not making a motion yet because we're still in the discussion stage here. But the allocation for the first year for the business support program was 15,000 and then 25,000. And I don't see a projection going out. Might be in the board's best interest, put those numbers in action, with the $15,000, support for the business support program expenses. And then the following year's 25,000. The board may want to commit to that. If they have to come back for additional money with proof why they need it, might be the way to go and approach this with the money going forward. So, but that's how your budget that you presented us, it's 15,000 for 2023 and 25,000 for 2024. So that fits within their budget, because that's what they're budgeting for that program. It's just something.
I hate to be the perfect killer, but I mean, I would say you want to come back every year and re-examine that number. It could be more or less. I don't think I want to commit to 24 at this point. I mean,
15,000 is what they
committed
asked
to
for off the
23.
budget, Bob. That's what I'm saying.
Right, but I would say for the upcoming year 23, I'd look at that and I'd make
Right.
and in 24, let's go back and revisit and see what we need to do for 24. The same, more or less.
Well, I think
You gotta look at their cohort and see what's going on. I
Right.
think you have to. I mean, we have to budget appropriately in
Right.
our budget.
Right.
Just because I'll put a number out there, a big number. If we say we're gonna budget $200,000 to give to Pitch Hamburg, and they have a cohort of 3, you're not getting $200,000.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have to build enough in the budget that you have the flexibility.
Right. I'm
But if it
thinking-
isn't needed, it's.
I'm
not
thinking
going
along a
to
different
work.
line. I know you're saying we need to, from our budgeting standpoint, we need to figure out what we want to put aside for that. I'm just saying we should revisit the number every year that we donate to them.
You could do, I have no problem doing it, but I'm just saying the budget that they have submitted, they need $15,000
Right.
they're budgeting next year. So the IDA is gonna commit to that. If they
Right.
need more, they'd have to come back to us.
Correct.
Because I have to go off the budget that they submit. All right, so they submitted 15,000 for that program. That's why I'm saying. We're taking this into a specific program. For their use, all right? It's not, they can use it anyplace else. You have to use it in this program and come back with your expenses out of that program. That's what we've been talking about. And that's their budget right there is 15,000, it's 25,000 next year. Right now, currently, that's all I'm saying.
Is that, are we interpreting that right? Is that, I thought the request was 50.
Yeah, I thought that.
The request is.
Well, that doesn't cover that program then. There's no, just the budget in that program is 15,000 they presented to us.
Yeah, so the conversation with the IDA is shifted. You know, we initially are looking through pitch for. General, we're looking to also cover general operating and overhead rents and whatnot, but the conversation has now shifted. And I'm kind of explaining things. The conversation has shifted where the IDA is interested in providing specific focus in a specific activity.
Right.
So, therefore it's represented on the pitch Hamburg budget for that.
Right.
So,
And I think Jennifer,
Right.
right, Jen, it's the best way to go forward is to keep it programs. That big word.
Yes,
So that we have accountability coming back to us because we can always go back to them because it's part of our audit process when we make a donation going out.
right. I think it needs to be specifically designated so that you know what it's being used for, but more importantly, they know how to use the money properly.
And in my limited experience recently, $15,000 doesn't get you far. Especially when you're looking at patent lawyers, which I'm sure is something what you're talking about, the cohort you have now, that's. The regular attorneys are pretty expensive, right, Jennifer?
Hey,
So 15,000 for the entire year of 2023, I mean, I know that's what you have budgeted, that seems.
I have to go up the budget.
I'm not picking on you, you're right, it's right there, but I think that.
You're
Yeah,
running a
that's-
business.
We gotta, anyway, and then to have them come back, if they need more, if we say yes, 15,000, and then they gotta come back, and why don't we just do this all at once, and. For what you need, and what, for this specific line item that we have to legally have it under. Am I understanding this correct? It has to be that specific. Line item for
Unless you approve
mentorship,
other line items
education.
out there.
Yes.
You have to go and approve other line items to have that going into those line items. In other words, she's got line items here for telecommunications, insurance. I mean, that's her line items in the budget that was presented to us from the chamber.
And then,
Again, I hate to be a stick with the details.
no, it's good, we need to be accountable, but so let's say. We approve 40,000 for mentorship in 2023. And you guys have an event that's gonna cost 10 grand, you got pitch can come to us and we can additionally. Say, okay, we'll provide 10, if the board votes for, we can provide another 10,000 for this event sponsored by the IDA for pitch Hamburg. Is that kind of what the ECIDA did in regards to 43 North when they sponsored their event?
I don't have that detail, so I can't answer to that. So, typically is we sponsor an event, and this is, a larger outlet. It's more event sponsorship. Hits that our budget category, and then it goes to that. I mean, certainly, for my opinion, we do have added costs and overhead. Even rent support, I mean, we have to operate the space out of somewhere. We could either go to that or go on a draw process, where maybe we have, outline in the agreement where there's a type of draw. So there's a level of reporting back and understanding where the monies are being spent. But certainly, we'll have to seek out other sources, for, rents and operating costs, that type of thing. But certainly that's a function in operating the organization. Sure.
Yeah, because. I know you allocated 25,000 on your your pitch Hamburg budget out of contributions up here, but if we're gonna go specific, then you have 15,000 that you needed there right now. Now, if you need another 10, I guess you're gonna have, in my opinion, again, this board's man's opinion, as financial, and then you're gonna have to come back and say, where are we putting that 10? If we're gonna give 25 grand coming into the organization, because we need to know where that money's going, the taxpayer dollars going. I don't know, Janet, does that sound?
So why don't we do this? Let's come up with a resolution with a specific dollar amount.
Thank you.
Pending the execution of a contract between the Hamburg Industrial Development Agency and Pitch Hamburg. If the board chooses to put additional monies in the budget for next year, and we're not gonna just leave it for pitch, put it under programming, whatever.
We don't have that.
Well, we're gonna need to change our budget.
I know.
And add a
That's
line.
the
item.
whole thing. It all affects everything that I'm.
So what all do you wanna allocate? One, what do you wanna allocate for budgeting? For programming in the budget? What do you wanna allocate to pitch this year? Cause who knows, maybe there'll be some phenomenal new thing that we wanna have a program for next year.
And it's,
Wentz donates, a big plot of land.
with Janet's understanding and trying to remember, I forgot to bring the budget, it's my fault, but our budget going forward next year, like, we have room in the budget under donations that we make for programs to set this up, and then we'll have to redo the budget, Mr. President, if you're gonna start doing this, but I'm comfortable with the 15 up front after we get the contract and everything like this, because that's ties it right into that program, so the IDA can take credit for helping out Pitch by saying, we're gonna do your business support program, which is something that the IDA is trying to do with a good job.
No, I support that idea, Bob. I think that's where we should go, and if they want to come back and they need additional funds for something else or more education, we
Right.
can review that then.
Right.
But you're right, that contract has to be put together
With a very tight budget
Yes.
going up next year.
pretty specific, if I'm not mistaken, correct, Jennifer?
Correct.
And then they have to agree to it.
Right. I mean, they would have their attorney review the contract as well. And they'd have to agree. So you could approve the spending today, subject to signing a contract, and they could reject our contract.
I would not support only 15,000. We have over $1 million in assets in the IDA. We need to invest this money and, as a business owner, you don't get an ROI unless you invest it. It does no good in a bank for the town of Hamburg.
So can we then allocate? I think that's what Jan was probably looking at. Can we allocate?
I don't have it in
Funds,
the budget.
if we have room in the budget, right, somewhere in the budget.
We've
and then-
approved the 2023 budget.
Well,
as a
to
board.
amend, I'm gonna make a motion to amend our 2023 Hamburg Industrial Development Agency budget to add a line called programming and put in that line $25,000.
I second it.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion
I'll go with it.
that the Hamburg Industrial Development Agency, upon execution of an agreement with Pitch Hamburg, allocates $25,000 from the programming line in the IDA budget to Pitch Hamburg for the purpose of education of the 2022 cohort. That's who you're working with, right?
Yes.
Can we just change that to the business support program expenses? Because that's how they have it listed in their budget. Make it
I
specific.
be pretty specific that
Yeah.
it's what we're donating is being used specific. I mean, the money that we are allocating to them, we're going to ask for detail on their expenditures
Okay,
in our contract. So I think it needs to be a separate and distinct line item, so there's no
right, that's it,
overlap.
that's right,
It's cleaner for us, it's cleaner for them.
exactly.
Can I have you add, would authorize the chairman to sign the agreement? Because with you being on the pitch board,
And to execute said agreement.
thank you.
You read that back for us?
Push rewind on your.
So, yeah, exactly. It's on video. So,
I think I can repeat it.
are you clear with that? You know, just where I want to step aside from the agreement and just so I'm
Right.
out of that.
Being a board member, yeah.
You should be the one who executes the agreement
Exactly.
on behalf of the board.
So Janet made the motion, second. Thank you, Wentz. On the question.
I think it's great. I wonder if it's not enough, but it's something, we're getting started on it, and I would encourage Anna that if you blow the doors off, that you come back and let's see what we can do and give more, so.
Yeah, no, we're putting our toes in the water and
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you as a board member pitch.
we need a vote.
Oh, all in favor? I'm not
Aye.
thinking.
Aye.
Opposed? So, no, as
Oh, unanimous, please.
unanimous, opposed? Okay, unanimous aye, thank you. No, these programs have had great success and we're trailblazing and Ann has been doing a great job. We've exceeded expectations, you know, this has been a lot of long work in coming and the program has been doing awesome, so we're so happy to have the chamber supporting our economic development activities.
Thank you.
Just a question for Jennifer on the contract, are you gonna just put that together and have us look it over and put our comments in, or do you want to have us all put maybe the executive committee, put our heads together on this?
The executive committee.
Yeah, you know what I will do, I took a lot of notes based on the comments from the board. I'll submit a draft to Jennifer. And the only thing I would include there is 990 reporting as a requirement, which is maintaining 501c3 designation. You know, I'll get a draft report going, work it through with Anna, get it through the attorneys, and then submit it to both agency chairmans for signature.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that you cover all the bases, everybody's happy with what's in there.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda, under unfinished business,
It's my reason.
2022 Hamburg IDA staff year-end payments. Want to take that one? It's gotta be.
Okay,
Okay. We should.
whereas the IDA Executive Director Sean Doyle is a hardworking and valued employee of the IDA. Whereas the HIDA board recognizes the talents, hard work, and dedication of Mr. Doyle and wishes to reward him for his services to the HIDA. Therefore, now be it resolved as follows, that the HIDA pay Sean Doyle a bonus in the amount of $8,000 for the year 2022 in the next payroll.
So
So
move.
moved.
I
Second.
I got that.
Who is it, Andy and Cam?
Can't move anything.
On the question. The only thing I have to say, who wrote this resolution? It sounds like it was one of his relatives.
I'll take that credit, thank you.
I want to say Sean and Mary both do a fantastic job with this organization. They really keep it moving in the direction we want to go, which is forward. And I can't say enough, being in much closer contact with Sean over the last year, as the chairman of the organization, all he does for this organization. I wish we could give you an $80,000 bonus, but it's not within our budget, but I think the 8,000 is a good number, and we want to keep you around, and you do a great job for us, and Mary as well. I can't say enough about how many times I've been submitted something a little bit later, a question, and Mary gets right back to us and does a phenomenal job.
Great, well said.
I agree. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, board.
You gotta finish the,
We just need to vote now.
First resolution.
you gotta finish the next one.
This says.
We have to vote.
Oh,
All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So passed.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on to our second resolution, whereas the HIDA Executive Assistant Mary is Dorn is a hardworking and valued employee of the HIDA. Whereas the HIDA board recognizes the talents, hard work, and dedication of Ms. Dorn and wishes to reward her for her service to the HIDA. Now therefore be it resolved as follows, that the HIDA pay Mary Dorn a bonus in the amount of $2,000 for the year 2022 in the next payroll. The resolution shall take effect immediately.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Bob.
second.
Thank you, Jamal. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Motion to adjourn. Oh, privilege of the floor,
Second section.
executive session. All right, motion to adjourn at 8:23 AM. Or, yeah. Thank you, Andy. Second,
Second.
thank you, Cam. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right, next on the land court meeting. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you,
Rest up.
everyone. Merry Christmas.
Bye now.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Jennifer.
Hope you feel better.
Thank you, Bob.